Have you ever wanted to watch an entire 2-hour arena in 10 minutes? For the slower version, click the annotation. If you don't like either, let me know why not. On the left side, I mulligan my entire hand hoping for a 2, which I get. With a 2 coin 4, 2 heal opener, I pull ahead 6 cards to 3. On the right side, as a priest, I want primarily 4, 5, and 6 cost beefy minions with enough 3s and 2s to survive the early game and as many mind controls and holy novas as I can find. The Argent Crusader fits this paradigm far better than the Situational Abomination or the terrible Cold Light Oracle. Similarly, while the Shield Master and the Mad Bomber are both good cards, the Shield Master fits my paradigm better as a 4 rather than a 2. On the left side, my opponent briefly flirts with board control, but my massive card lead squashes his hopes for good. On the right side, a solid Bloodsail Raider is the obvious choice over the situational spell and the mediocre Grizzly. We don't need taunt. On the left, the game finishes with a charge and a +1 damage to all minions, while on the right, the Ventrico is a hands-down favorite for all priest decks, but is also, in this case, being compared to a minion with 1 hit points, which doesn't synergize with priests at all, and Circle of Healing, which is a terrible spell. On the left side, coin 3/3 as an opener baits a spell and a taunt, but the Dark Iron Dwarf allows me to remove the taunt and his minion for free, allowing me to sprint him down on the 7th turn. On the right side, Mind Control beats everything as our first choice, and then we're faced again with the choice of the Ghoul, the Raptor, or the Gnomish Inventor. Traditionally, the Ghoul is better than the Gnomish Inventor, but I'm going to take the Inventor just because I want to weight myself on the 4 side of the cost scale as a priest. On the right side, a 5/5 for 5 with Stealth is going to be a great choice for our priest deck, which we're trying to weight towards 4, 5, and 6 cost minions anyway. And the 2/1 Murloc is not very good for priest. Anything with 1 health just isn't great for priest. On the left side, my mage opponent is able to play a pretty powerful early game and get board control as well as going up 6 cards to 4. On the right side, minion power is paramount and the Harvest Golem wins hands down over a spell and an Ironbeak Owl. On the left side, an Abomination Gambit loses the mage's lead. He was counting on it clearing the board, and it actually left almost the entire board up. On the right side, the Beast would have been a better choice, but I took the Prophet because I've never had it before. I regretted it. I won't take it again in the future. On the left side, the continual play of 6 hit point creatures and other powerful dudes like that 5/5 guy that mind controls someone just leaves the mage with no response, and I easily crush his face all over the place. On the left side, we usually have to mulligan aggressively for 2s, but with the 2, 2, 3, 4, 5 opening, we have the most perfect draw ever, and the game is never even close. I only included this game because I played it. It's so far from close that it's not even worth looking at, which is lucky because on the right side we have one of our most difficult choices at the moment. Shattered Sun Cleric is probably the best 3, while Razorfen Hunter is a very good 3, though he doesn't synergize well with priests, so I'd probably pass him up for the Cleric in this case. And then Temple Enforcer is a 6/9 for 6 card, so I'm obviously taking him. Now we've got the Oasis Snapjaw, which I actually kind of like in a priest deck because of its high hit points. Holy Nova, which I'm going to take every time it comes up in a light spawn, which is only average, maybe below average, so we're obviously taking Holy Nova in this case. We get a chance to actually mind control something with our suicidal mind control card, but instead we just finish the game. On the right side, we've got ourselves a Youthful Brewmaster, which is always a good choice. The Stormwind Knight is not very good in general, but he's better with Priest because of his high hit points, but obviously taking that Brewmaster. On the right side, the Fairy Dragon is the only reasonable choice. Any minion that costs 1 is off the table altogether. And then the Dark Iron Dwarf, again, we want to weight ourselves towards 4-cost minions, so it's great that we have a really good 4-cost minion compared to a spell that isn't Mind Blast or Holy Nova and a 1-cost minion, neither of which is even an option. Again, we're taking every Holy Nova that pops up. On the left side, you're going to see me lose my first game. I get really far behind playing Holy Nova after Holy Nova without actually wiping the board, and eventually I just can't catch up. On the right side, the Frostwolf Warlord is one of the best cards for a priest deck. It only costs 5, and it can be as much as 10/10 statistically. The other 2 cards are okay, but not nearly as good. On the left side, after my first and only loss, I have to mulligan my entire hand because it's terrible, which is always very scary, but I end up with a 2/2/3 start, which is great. On the right side, the Ventrico and the Chillwind Yeti are 2 of the best cards in the universe. I go with the Yeti because it's always good, whereas the Ventrico is often good. On the left side, I was able to use the +1 damage to all minions to allow my Harvester to kill a Worgen, which is amazingly cool, and then immediately after that I was able to use Divine Shield to kill that infinite damage, kill one minion snake. So 2 cool plays in a row. On the right side, the Alpha is a good card, while the Grizzly is an average card, and Divine Spirit is a spell that isn't Mind Control or Holy Nova, so it's off the table altogether. On the left side, I'm behind on hero health, and this game is looking questionable, but I'm able to heal myself back to back in repeated turns until I feel a lot more comfortable, and then multiple mind controls are going to take what looked like an almost lost game and bring me right back into it. On the right side, a 5/5 for 5 is the only real choice here. A lot of the epic cards are not very good in Arena because they're meant to be comboed with other stuff. Again, on the right side, the Scarlet Crusader is a crazy good 3, while the Wind Fury Harpy is an average 6, and the Dalaran Mage is terrible. And on the left side, you can see, even though I got low, eventually I won 20-0. Up 5-1, I draw 3 terrible cards and mulligan them for Mind Control, Ventrico, and a Scarlet Crusader, and then I draw a 3-cost Raider. So I'm really worried that I'm just going to lose the early game. But luckily, my opponent has a lot of really pretty terrible early game cards. And then he uses this terrible 1/3 mana drinker thing to get some amazingly good trades, and I was really impressed because I always kind of consider that not really an Arena card, since it relies on you having a lot of cheap spells, and you don't get the choice of whether or not to have cheap spells. Over on the right, the Razorfen Hunter is very important. Holy Nova, I take it every time it comes up, except this time, because I don't have enough 3s, and 3s are like crucial to your survival, so I take that Razorfen Hunter. Back on the left side, after doing all sorts of cool things with the mana whatever guy, the mana addict, I think, my opponent is up pretty high on the damage, but then he plays 2 taunts in a row, and taunts are just asking for your opponent to have a comeback. So I easily take out those taunts, get board control, and stomp his little tiny face. On the right side, the 9/5 Core Hound isn't really an option. Neither is any card that costs 1, so we obviously took the Raider, and now we're choosing between the Cult Master and the Gurubashi Berserker. We don't need any more 2s, otherwise the Fairy Dragon is actually a crazy good 2. I like Cult Master, the cheaper deck, but as Priest, we want Gurubashi Berserker. On the left side, our opponent has a very good Knife Juggler opening, and we only just barely get back into it because our legendary card for the first, last, and only time this entire arena steals one of his creatures. How cool is that, man? Speaking of stealing creatures, we mind control the same creature back and forth several times here, and on the right side you're going to see me choosing a mind control as my next selection. So stealing creatures is what priests are all about. All about. Dun 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 dun. With Thought Steal, Holy Nova, and Mind Control, it almost looks for a moment like he's getting back into it, but this game, my friend, is over. Now that we're 7-1, we're going to mulligan our 3/3 for 3 Mind Controller and our Holy Nova, keeping our Razorfen awesome, and open all coiny 3/3/4 like that. Speaking of our Wolf Rider, which we opened with, there he is over on the right side, man. That 5/4 taunt guy, terrible, not enough hit points, and taunt isn't that great all by itself. Tauren Warrior, 2/3 for 3, just not good enough stats. Even though he has an Enrage, you can't really trigger it yourself, and with taunt, he's usually not going to be able to be protected long enough to trigger the Enrage, so I just don't like it. This game is getting severely out of control, and we can't tell why because he still has cards in his hand, but then he plays all of his cards and we find out why. He took a whole bunch of heal my own hero cards, which don't help him at all to regain board control, which means all the health he just healed gets immediately squashed in the face. In the upcoming game on the left, I go first and keep my Ventrico and draw nothing that can be played before round 4. On the right, Mind Control is the obvious choice. The other 2 cards are just completely terrible. On the left, because I didn't play anything before the Ventrico, I'm down to 19 hit points before he even comes out, but I use him to clear the board, fearing that that might be a Vaporize up in the secret, but it turns out to be a counterspell, which is very effective because my cheapest spell costs 5, man. How crazy is that? The Raid Leader allows me to trade effectively with a 4 hit point minion with my 2-cost Fairy Dragon, which is pretty cool. My 5/5 epic mind controlling minion gets sheeped, and then my 7/7 Frostwolf Warlord also gets sheeped, but I still have pretty crazy board control with my 5/1 dude who is forcibly removed by Flame Strike. Playing some beefy 4-cost minions right there allows me to regain board control, forcing him to use Blizzard for basically no effect. And we've pretty much run him out of cards. He's playing cheapo minions, I'm playing expensive minions, and this is the glory of the Priest late game. Because this is the last couple of rounds of the last game, after we use our Dwarf to give +2 damage to our Yeti and kill the 6 hit point Venture Co. And then clear that taunting guy with our charging shielded dude. We're going to mind control just because, it's the end of the game. Why not mind control something even if it's not that good? And play our 7/7 minion that gives all of our hero abilities double damage, just so that we can heal ourselves for 4. Not because we need to, but because we've never done it before and it was awesome. So I really regret taking that guy. That was the only time I got to use him and he didn't do much at the end.